So it's been reported, I'm looking at a few of them and they've got them in them, to be honest. Back page of The Sun says Villa on Poch watch. Back page of The Mirror as well, Villa will turn to Poch if Stevie slips. Ultimately, you can read between the lines of what might be happening. Gerrard reportedly has 2 games to save his job. Fulham away on Thursday, Brentford at home on Sunday. I don't know where these kind of things come from, whether it's the hierarchy or just whispers around the club that kind of get leaked. But what do you think? How would you analyse Steven Gerrard's time at Villa so far?
I think it's been a slow burner for Stevie. I love the way he talks. I think he's genuine. There's no flannel there with Steven. I think he's exactly the same when he addresses his players. He needs to find the right team and he needs to stick to it as soon as possible. But it's very difficult. I've been there. You know, when you start losing football matches, you tinker all the time. You know, I think his squad, he's picked an injury up to Carlos, which was
massive.
You know, really disappointing. Obviously, Lucas Dean as well, who come in there and has been injured. So he needs
Kamara, the midfielder.
Yeah, he needs to get all his top players back fitness, but then he needs to find the 11 who he thinks can go forward for him. And for me, he's struggling to score goals, so Danny Ings has to be amongst that because he's the prolific goal scorer in the Premier League at Southampton. So he's capable of doing it at Villa. It is difficult. It's a difficult environment. It can be the best environment at Villa Park. You know, Cass, as well as I do. The crowd, they get with you, and they call themselves the 12th man up there, and they can be. But you need some brave players when it's not going your way to be brave enough to go and get that ball in dangerous areas when the game is not on your side. I thought they were good against Chelsea. I really did. I thought they were very unlucky not to take maximum points. Kepa was outstanding, and they missed chances again. So listen, them 2 games coming up are winnable games. If Stevie wins them next 2 games, they're looking at top 6.
So he's spinning his plate slightly, and Tim touched on the forward areas where he's gone for sometimes Watkins and Ings play together. Then it's Buendia and Coutinho, could they be in the team? Leon Bailey's come in and play, and he's really finding it hard to get that forward line absolutely spot on where he's confident they can get goals.
But that's what happens, Cass, when you're a manager and you can't get the result. You just keep tinkering with it, you know. But you know, my advice from the outside is that I've been there, and I would just say to stick to the 11 what you believe in. If they keep themselves fit, just stick to it. Win or lose, give them like 4 or 5 games to try and get some continuity in there, and then pick up some confidence and get results. But like I say, I believe, Laura, I think he's the correct man for the job. I really do, and I think it's too early to start talking about him losing his job.
Well, it's a year now. It's coming up to a year that he's been in the job at Villa Park. The first goal would have bothered me at the weekend. Tyrone Mings' header makes a big mistake. Look, as a centre forward, I know if you get chances and you don't take them, it comes at a price. You lose your place in the team because managers start getting angry with you that you had opportunities and you missed. It's like a defender. If you make enough mistakes defensively, then like Mings found out in the summer that he brought in a new centre-half, he probably wouldn't have played too often.
Can I ask you, so Dave has messaged in, he said Gerrard's team and tactics, he's a Villa fan by the way, Gerrard's team and tactics destroyed Chelsea on Sunday and another day would have won comfortably. I sit right behind Steven Gerrard and he's desperate for things to improve. The tide will turn, so just give him time and he'll prove how good he is. When you have articles that are linking Mauricio Pochettino to your job and you're still in it, and people like us in the mainstream media are discussing it, how difficult is that as a manager? Because I imagine as a player he knows how to block things out.
Yeah,
you've got Pochettino, like the rumour of that looming over you.
Difficult when Maurizio's on the market. You know, you just want him to go and get a job somewhere else.
Yeah, quick, hurry up.
Because it's a job that would be attractive to Maurizio. You know, it's a big club, huge football club. You know, and the opportunity to go and manage there with the finances what they have will be a great opportunity. But I think you blank it out. You don't listen to it. You know, you really don't. You try not to. You know you're under pressure. I mean, Stephen doesn't need a newspaper to tell him. Yeah. He knows if you don't win football matches, there's a good chance you're going to get sacked. You know, and you know when it's time to turn your phone off. Yeah. Because them chairmen might be trying to get hold of you to come in and have a little chat about some severance.
We both agree that, you know, it feels like he just needs a bit longer. I mean, that's not no guarantee, but I do feel like that there is an opportunity for Villa just to hold fire and look, two
so
big games
tight,
coming.
Cass, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, fine lines.
So you win these 2 games.
Yeah, they're on 9 points at the moment. 9 points and they're 16th, and they're above them. Leeds are on 9, and then you've got Everton and Crystal Palace on 10, and then West Ham and Fulham. West Ham's on 11, Fulham's on 12, and that takes you to the top 10 then. You've got Bournemouth, who are on 13. So you're right, a win or two.
A week, 6 points in this week. It's all changed, and then there'll be another target.
Let's find out how the fans feel. Steve is a Villa fan, and he's on the line. Hello, Steve.
Morning all, how are we?
Hello.
Hi, Steve.
Good, thanks, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit disillusioned at the minute being a Villa fan. I mean, one thing, people talk about the performance on Sunday against Chelsea. I think we kind of forget about that. We need to push that to one side. I think as a Villa fan here, that 12 months on after Steven Gerrard being in charge, is every single player at the club, nobody's improved. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that everybody's gone in decline, to be perfectly honest. Good players who are just no longer got the confidence or seems the ability to play well. And that's down to the management and coaching team. The actual atmosphere at Villa Park is appalling. It hasn't been so bad for years and years. And basically, we're not going to get that back. I mean, people notice that with 10 minutes to go, the ground's nearly empty. There's such a strange atmosphere around the place. And I'm afraid Steven Gerrard, as much as you wanted it to work, he just hasn't engaged with the fans at all. Certainly the football is poor. Okay, yes, we were unlucky on Sunday, but it's just not good enough. There's just something wrong somewhere, and the sooner we just make that choice and just accept to move on. But I think Villa's gone backwards in the 12 months that Steven Gerrard's been there, to be perfectly honest.
Steve, I think the team needs confidence, and I think a result will give them that. I think you've got 2 games this week, which I think you can win. And if you do, you're looking at a different side. You know, I agree with you. It's frustrating at the moment, and Stevie would suggest it's frustrating as well. If you ask your fans, Steve, who sit next to you, and yourself and your family and Stevie himself, can you pick the same 11 as your friends next door? I think everyone's got a different side there. No one picks the best 11. I'm not the best 11. No one picks the same one because it's so difficult to pick.
Tim, when you sent those players out, there was a different feel. Management have got a different. You know, it's a personality of a manager. I'm afraid even if we win the next two games, we are kicking that can down the road, because come 2 more defeats, exactly the same thing will happen, because there's just not the engagement there. The fans, Steven Gerrard hasn't clicked with Villa, and certainly the fans haven't clicked with Steven Gerrard. He had a big job. To fill, really, with following Dean Smith and Jack Grealish, who were both big Villa fans, and the engagement was massive. But Steven's come in. He's brought all his Scouse friends and all that sort of entourage and whatever, and there's absolutely no engagement. You get the sort of stories that people see Steven Gerrard out, for a photo, and he declines, that sort of stuff. Now that's tittle tattle, but that's the sort of feeling that's at the club at the moment. Something's not right, and unfortunately, he just hasn't engaged. So the fact that we win the game on Thursday or next Sunday, whatever it may be, I think come the next couple of results that are in it, the negative results, we're doing exactly the same again, and fans will want him gone. Yeah.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much for your call. Steve, there obviously was some strong opinions, Tim.
Yeah, I think a key component obviously is Michael Beale as well. He's lost Michael Beale. Yeah. Michael's doing well at Queen's Park Rangers. He's linked for the vacancy of Wolves. I mean, that's how well he's done. You know, so I think when you got a right hand man who you trust, and he was at Rangers for a long period with him, and then to Villa and then lose him, I think it takes a little bit of transition.
Well, one player that's really surprised me is John McGinn. I think he's a terrific player, and he's captain at the football club, and he's just not got going this year. For whatever reason, John McGinn's a really good player.
I think you can say that for pretty much a lot of them, and it's a case of, I believe, momentum. But you only get that when you've got continuity in your side, and at the moment, it's a different 11 every single week.
Big couple of games coming up then for Villa. Fulham away on Thursday, and then Brentford at home on Sunday. Is our caller there that we just had there, Steve, is he right? Is it just kicking the can down the road? Or have you got faith that Steven Gerrard can turn this around? Like I say, big couple of games coming up this week for Aston Villa.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday morning 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.